Good morning. Yeah, I got here in July from Dallas, Texas. And so they told me the winters weren't that bad. You lied. Because the first time it snowed, I was like, oh, it looks wonderful. My dog went outside. He's like, I like this. And see, in Dallas, it snows on Monday, and it's gone on Tuesday. Here it snows on Monday. It's here on Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday. And then it snows again, and it gets colder. And y'all believe in, like, negative numbers. -5, -9, -9. It's cold. So I really had to love Jesus to be here. You know, it's wonderful when Pastor Eric, who was a senior pastor of Element Church, asked me to come. It had to be God because I'm good. That's fine. Missouri wasn't on my list. It wasn't on the M list. It wasn't Maui. It wasn't Madrid. It was Missouri. And it wasn't St. Louis. It was Wentzville. And I was like, where am I going? And God just said, go. And so, you know, my family and I, we've always been faithful to God. And God's been faithful to us. So we came and we love it here. Trying to love the winter, but we love it here. And so it's great to be here. Appreciate Chuck for inviting me, this morning and, talking about discipleship. And it's amazing when you think about Jesus that he took the time to pick 12 to be his disciples. And he picked 12 that weren't perfect. One would doubt him. One would betray him. But he picked them nonetheless. And I think about the conversations he had with his disciples. Because as men, if we follow Christ, we're supposed to be disciples. And it sounds wonderful. Let me follow Christ. It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But how many of you know you pay a price to follow Christ? It's not easy. And so I look at it in the book of Matthew, in the 16th chapter, 24th verse, it says this. It says, and Jesus said unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. Whosoever will lose his life for my sake will find it. And the last part, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And so this morning, just for a few minutes, just want to talk about the value and the price of discipleship. I always want to be, you want to follow Christ. Think about it. The greatest person that ever lived on earth to follow Christ. And if he came, you said, would you like to follow me? You said, of course I would. I'd love to. But he really didn't give them the criteria for following him. He didn't realize, it sounds good on good days to follow Christ. God, let's watch him walk on water. Man, wasn't that cool? Let's watch him raise the dead. He can raise, wow, that was cool. But he didn't tell them, there are people trying to kill me. And because if you're with me, they're going to try to kill you too. You might not want to do it then. But the price of discipleship as men means we have to stand with Christ no matter what comes. Christ was going through cities and one man came out, I want to follow you. He said, but I first got to bury my father. He said, let the dead bury the dead. And you never heard of him again. He said, I don't care what your priority is. If you're going to follow me, you have to pay the price. And paying the price means it's not going to be convenient. It's not going to fit into your schedule. It doesn't fit into your lifestyle. It all changes. But he said, if you will give up your life to follow me, I'll be with you for the rest of your life. And as men, we always battle this thing in our flesh because as men, we're fixers. How many fixers are in here? How many guys, if you open a box up and there's something to build and they have instructions, you just move the instructions to the side. And you just say, I'm going to do this. And there's always stuff left over. And what are these? We call them spare parts. I put a ceiling fan up one time, and it had spare parts. And I know there were 3 screws in each one of the fans, but I figure I can get away with 2. So I put 2 in. There's a reason they had 3. And it was spinning, after a couple of months, spinning. And so one summer day, it's spinning real fast. And it starts to wobble. And it starts to wobble, and it starts swinging. And when it started swinging, the blade started breaking off. And my wife said, what happened? I don't know what happened. I'm not sure. And I thought back, spare parts. See, we try to go sometimes without instructions, without following. But the disciples realized, okay, Jesus spent a lot of time with them trying to give them instruction. Follow me. So what is this thing called discipleship that we have in following Christ? Because we realize it's not always easy. He tried to teach them how to pray because he realizes you're going to need prayer to do this. How many praying men are out here? My daughters pray. My daughters are 22 and 24. My daughters pray because they watched me pray. When they were little, they watched me pray, not just over grace, but in the mornings every day in devotionals. At night, when situations come up, pray. So Jesus was teaching them, you need to learn how to pray. It wasn't the Lord's Prayer, it was the disciples' prayer he gave them. This is how you pray. He was trying to give them something because he realized discipleship has a price. And so the three things I look at for discipleship, the first is be a servant. You have to serve. That means it's not about you. Doesn't matter how wonderful we are, it's not about us. As men, we ought to serve first. And not serving when it's convenient. It's easy when a storm comes by, yes, we'll serve. But people have storms in their life every day. We need to be serving. I guarantee you, when you plot your schedule during the week, and I tell people, look at your schedule and look at your phone. If I could look at your schedule and I could look at your phone, I can tell you about your life. I can tell you what you value, where you go, and what you do. And so if during the week you haven't scheduled in serving, then I wonder how can we be disciples? Because disciples serve. Who we serve? When did I craft time to serve? Somebody else. I wake up every day and I pray that I meet somebody today that I can change their life. That I can say something or do something that impacts their life in such a way that enhances their life for that day. And if I don't do that, I fail that day. I failed. Doesn't matter what else I did. Business deals, life, nothing. I failed. Because I could have helped somebody else. Same way somebody helped me at one point in my life. Same way Christ helps us every day. I could have helped somebody else. I got to serve. So that discipleship means service to somebody else. It's funny, when I was younger, I was taking my daughters out on mission trips with me. And they didn't know to be scared. We were on a mission trip one time. We're going down into Mexico, and I'm on a bus with about 4 adults, 1 interpreter, and about 25 students who are between the ages of 13 and 17. And they're just thinking, we're having a good time. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, the bus stops. And these lights come on. And these guys get on the bus with shotguns and guns and AK-47 trying to figure out where we're going. And they wake all the kids up and they ask us where we're going. And they look at the little kids and they're asking, where are you going? And we're bringing Jesus. That's what they said. And they looked at the kids and they looked at us and they looked at them because they were kidnapping people on the road. And I was like, okay, this is not going to be good. And they asked every kid, where are you going? And they said, we're bringing Jesus. We're bringing Jesus. We're bringing Jesus. And they kept saying it. And the guys on the bus said, just go. And it was amazing because that's what was in them. They were going to serve. They weren't afraid. They weren't intimidated. They were focused. Now, as adults, we were scared. I was. Because I'm looking at the guns and looking at them, looking at the guns, looking at them. I'm like, hey, this is not going to turn out good. But the kids had no concern. And every time we went to and we got in the cities, they would just go. And God blessed. And I want to go through life fearless like a child. How many have children or grandkids and you watch them and they just run like crazy? And you want to say, stop, you're going to fall. But they don't care. They don't care because they're not afraid. When did we lose that? Because that's what it's like to really follow Christ. When do we lose that just, I'm going to go? Because we got hurt. Somebody hurt us. We got frustrated. But as men, especially as the men of the house, of our own homes, that's leadership first. That we have to stand up first. Let me serve my house. Let me serve my wife, my children. Let me serve my community. That when people see me, let them know he's a great servant. That when they ask of you, you go. Because that's what Christ was. He was a servant. Everywhere he went, somebody wanted something. Everywhere. Think about it. Jesus healed people. If he was alive today, think about what would happen if he was alive today. and he healed people. He walked on water. First of all, nobody believed it. They think it was a stunt. But everybody would want to be around him, and he would serve. It told the disciples to pick up their cross and come. Think about it in the mornings. How many drink coffee in the mornings? I drink coffee every morning. Drink coffee, read, pray, get some breakfast, get in the car, turn it on, get ready to leave. Oh, man, forgot my cross. What if you had to carry that around every day, everywhere you went? I mean, that cross right there. You go into your meeting. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. How are you? Good. Excuse me. Because first of all, people would know you're a Christian because you're carrying your cross. I'm carrying it. Where are you going? Going to work. Carrying my cross. Because the carrying the cross is not the burden of following Christ. It is the blessing of following Christ. So you carry the cross with joy. Where are you going? Following Christ. I'm carrying my cross. I think sometimes we want to leave the cross at home because it's heavy. It's about a story about a man who was mad with God. Anybody ever been mad with God, just fussed with God? I got an argument with God. Look, we need to talk. He says, I'm tired of carrying my cross. It's heavy. It's big. Look at it. It's big. I don't want to carry this anymore. He said, okay, my son. He said, there's a door right there. I'm going to throw it in the room of crosses. And then you can go inside and pick out any cross you want. And that'll be your cross. He said, I can throw it away and pick out any one I want? He said, yes. He said, good. God threw it in the room. He said, go pick out one. God walked in the room. Oh, wow. These are some big crosses. Whew, I don't want. Whoa, wow, they're so big and there's so many. And I'm like, they're huge. And he looked down in the corner. There was this little bitty cross. He said, God, I could pick out any cross? He said, yeah. He ran to the back and picked up this little bitty cross and put it on and said, I like this cross. And started walking out. He said, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. He said, what are you thanking me for? This cross. He said, it's the same one I threw in. See, sometimes we think our cross is heavy. God said, no, it's not. No, it's not. I will give you nothing more than you can bear. So we carry that cross with joy, and every day we leave, let me carry my cross. I wonder when we go into business meetings, are we carrying our cross? When we're dealing with our family, are we carrying our cross? Because carrying a cross will make you humble, make you meek. Put a filter between your mind and your mouth so you don't say certain things. How many have tempers in there? Any angry men in here? Be honest. Be honest. I keep on saying be honest because more hands will keep coming up. Be honest. If you carry that cross, it'll temper your anger. It'll temper your frustration. Because Jesus would walk into bad situations and the situations would change. Because he came as a servant. That's what he came for. He said, I've come to serve. The next part about discipleship is to mentor. Because Jesus was a mentor. And I always ask men, who are you mentoring? Who are you pouring in? You go through life in business or in life or whatever you're doing, and you gain all this knowledge, insight, and wisdom. And if you're not sharing it, I wonder, what are you doing? I mentor a number of men throughout the country and kind of a life coach and spiritual coach to them because I push them, when I say, towards perfection. Towards being the very best they can be each and every day. I tell people I'm the baddest me there is. You can't beat me at being me. I'm a bad me. I'm not trying to be anybody else because God crafted me to be me. Let me be me. And let me do what God has gifted me to do. And I think we have an obligation to others that are around us to pour into them. Not just our children, but people we encounter every day. Because I guarantee you, you work with somebody or you're around somebody that gets on your ever-loving nerves. How many have those people? You look at them and you see them every day and you're just like, I don't know, a stroke or something. Just something, God, just do something with them today. You ever felt that way? I know it might be sitting with you today. Don't worry about that. But what if you mentored them? What if you poured the same Jesus in you into them? How much it could change their life? What I found is if you pour into the worst of people and Jesus changes them, they can change a generation because they go places you can't go. They talk to people you can't talk to. And it's amazing. It's amazing. We did ministry in Angola prison in Louisiana. If you've never been to Angola prison in Louisiana, I'm going to tell you something. it's eye-opening. I've been to Angola, I've been to San Quentin, and I'm going to tell you I was scared both times. I'm not a scary dude, but when you start Louisiana State Penitentiary, you turn down a road and you keep going down this road and it stops. Big arch, guys on horses with shotguns. Louisiana State Penitentiary. And I met these guys there. And one guy I met there, and I said, how long have you been here? He said, since phones did this. Y'all remember that? Phones go. I was like, wow. He'd been there since black and white TV. I was like, wow. Yeah, y'all have to think back on that. My daughter was like, what's black and white TV? I was like, never mind. It's like 8-track tapes. Just don't even worry about it. Reel to reels, don't even worry about it. But got down there, and I found some people there that love God, passionate after God, and they're never leaving. And I said, God, I don't need to go through this for you to prove a point to me that you are real and you are God. And there were guys in there mentoring other guys about Jesus, pouring into their life every day. One of the guys got out of there, and his passion was building men's lives. And every time I saw him, he had these guys around him, and he was building their lives. And when you talked to the men and you heard where they were at that point, and then you heard their story, you couldn't believe their story, because you couldn't see how God could take a man, filthy and dirty and sinful and foul, and make a father out of them, and a businessman out of them, and a leader out of them, and a disciple out of them. Which shows if we just mentor somebody for God, it not only changes that life, it can change a generation of lives. It's so important to men. That's what Jesus was doing with his disciples. He was mentoring them. And sometimes they were scared. He was walking on water. They're like, who is that? Who's that coming? And I know he's got to be thinking, I'm with you every day. You don't know who I am? As disciples, sometimes we forget who Christ is and the power of Christ and what he can do in our lives. It's not just when things are bad. It's every single day. And the last part about being a disciple is not just serving or mentoring, but leaving a legacy. Because nobody else has ever left a legacy like Christ. In 3 years, he upset everything on earth and left a legacy. One of the gentlemen at our church, his son passed away about a month ago. Motorcycle accident. School bus pulled in front of it Monday or Tuesday morning. Killed him instantly. And at the funeral, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people were there, standing in line for hours at the viewing. Kid that's 19, 20 years old. Not because he was just a popular kid, but everybody knew he loved Jesus. And in his short time on life, he infected them with Jesus. He left a legacy. So as disciples, I wonder as men, are we leaving a legacy? And what legacy are we leaving? Because to be more like Christ, I want to leave a legacy. That when I look back, I can see men's lives I've changed, and they've become better fathers, better husbands, ethical businessmen, pillars in their community, life givers. Then ultimately God can say, well done, my good and faithful servant. But the Bible says we have bread of life for every day. So I want to make sure during every day, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. So it means God gives you enough every day to sustain you with the purpose and passion he's giving you each and every day. Tomorrow's is not here yet. Yesterday's past. I got today's bread. As a disciple, what am I doing today with God's bread today? Am I feeding off of it, or am I storing it up? God said, don't store it up. Use it today because you got bread for tomorrow. So every day we've got an opportunity to serve, to mentor, to leave a legacy. That's what disciples did. And even to the point, Jesus told one of them, you know what? When times get hard, you're going to deny me. You're like, oh, I never deny you, God. He said, yeah, 3 times you're going to deny me. And none of us think that we would deny Christ. But be honest. Let's be honest as men. Have you ever been in here and life is hard and you doubted God? Or you said, God, when are you going to show up? Anybody ever yelled at God? Be honest. You ever yelled at God? Got mad with God. And you demanded of God, you better show up right now. And I see God saying, or else what? What are you going to do? Because I had to come. God, show up. No. And then you got to trust him anyway. My father was ill, and my father had a brain tumor and died slowly over several months. Surgery after surgery, and after the surgery, things got worse. And I was in a hospital, and I was in their waiting room and had a table like that there, had this huge Bible. And I started flipping the pages. The more I flipped the pages and got in God's word, I got mad. Because I'm like, God, if you're God, heal him. And he got worse. And I got mad, said, heal him. And it got worse. Said, heal him. And my father died. And I was mad. I was upset. Until I realized Jesus was sent as the only begotten Son of God, to suffer, to be ridiculed, to be accused, to be tried, to be spat upon, to be slapped, to be beaten, tortured, put on a cross, just for God to say, I love you. How much more will he do for us? So as my father died, I said, God, what am I to learn from this? I want to be a disciple. What am I to learn from this? He said, you had your father for a season, and that was a blessing. And now it's your turn. So I had the obligation at that point to serve others in what I do, how I live, who I am. Because what you see is what you get. I'm me all the time. I like me, and I'm a good me. To serve is key. To mentor, as my father did, to leave a legacy. So this morning, I want to encourage you that carrying your cross is not a bad thing. People ought to see you carrying your cross. Because we live in a society right now that it's hard to figure out who the Christians are. Because we come out when it's popular. When it's bad, we kind of back up. No, let me put my cross away. And we hide our cross. Come out with your cross. Because I want to make sure that wherever I go, whatever I do, I want to make sure that if God is looking for me, he sees me. There he is. That's a disciple right there. There he goes. I'm going to watch over him. My wife and I pray every morning and every night together. And we're in a mode right now. We're buying a house. Looked at it last night. I'm going to sign some papers today to purchase a home. And just praying over it. And praying over, what God is doing in our lives right now. Because I have a responsibility as head of my household to lead her and to lead my children and to lead everybody that I know. Because I want to make sure for Christ that I leave a legacy. That when people talk about me, when I die, they said, golly, he helped me. I'm better because of him. My life is enriched because of that. I was going to the divorce court, but I stayed married, and I love Christ. It's not about what money you make, what title you have on your card. That matters not. What matters is, were you really a disciple? So as we celebrate this weekend of Easter and thinking about Christ's death, burial, and resurrection, he got up with all power, sitting at the right hand of the Father. And he did that for us. Broken us, frail us, confused us, sometimes yelling at God us. Because he sees something in us as all men that he's trying to perfect and heal and restore. So that ultimately one day we can be like him, Christ-like Christians, Christ-like, that we're pouring into somebody's life. So when we show up, people they're glad to see us because I know you're bringing life to me. Because sometimes you get around people and they suck the life out of you. In my cell phone, I've got a lot of numbers in my cell phone. And some I don't have names for. I have attributes, like owes me money, still owes me money, drama, trouble, stupid. Put it in your phone because they're going to call you. And you need to know what it is when you pick it up. Be like, stupid. Okay, I know what this conversation is going to be about. It's going to be stupid. Hello, how are you? Yeah, I knew it was going to be stupid. But some next to their name, I have praiser, worshiper, life-giving, motivating, loves Jesus. So when I pick up that phone, I know what I'm getting. They're pouring out life. And I was like, I love talking to you. I was at a friend's house last night, and we talked and laughed and ate food. Love being around them because he's full of life every single day. Don't you want to be that person? When people see you come, like, oh, I love being around you. Rather than, oh, no, I got to go. Excuse me, I got to go. Because when Jesus showed up, they were like, everybody, I just want to be around him. I just want to touch the hem of his garment. Christ-like disciples, living every day to be the very best that you are. I tell people, if you want to follow Christ, there are no excuses because you're not going to have enough time. There are 1,440 minutes of each and every day. 1,440, that's all you get. Doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, your family name, where you come from. 1,440, that's all you get. How are you going to spend yours each and every day? If you spent your whole life being in the wrong lane, you got another chance. You say, I messed up. Don't worry about it. God says, another chance. I love God because he's the God of second chances and third chances and 500 chances. He sees us and there's something still in us that can prosper and help not only our family, not only our community, but this nation, our broken nation that Christians can heal. And that's our responsibility to set the tone, not watch anybody else set the tone. That's our responsibility to set the tone. Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, the world, you take your stuff. I'm going to render unto God what is God's. And that's everything. And as Christians and as men of God, as disciples, we ought to lead. And each and every day, make sure that we're doing it in such a way that there are no excuses. I was told excuses are tools of incompetence. They build monuments of nothing. And those who specialize in them are seldom good for anything but excuses, excuses, excuses. I make no excuse for loving God. Make no excuse for being a Christian. I don't hide it. I don't shadow it. I don't even tone it down. It is not just what I do. It is who I am. And if you don't like it, that's okay. I really don't care. The Bible tells me I can be offensive with it. It says prick unto love. Well, I'm going to prick you. I'm going to push you towards Christ. And if you don't like it, I'm going to pray for you. I got a friend I went to college with who's a Muslim. And we're friends to this day. And what's amazing to me is when he has trouble, he calls me and asks me to pray. I've never had to call him and ask him to pray. He's watched my life. And he knows that when I inquire into the Father knows me. And he makes stuff happen. So this morning I wondered, does he know you? Can he make stuff happen for you? Maybe you stepped away from him for a while, but you say this morning, I want to be a disciple again. Sometimes as men, we get away from it for a season. And maybe this morning, Resurrection Sunday, maybe you can get your life resurrected and get back with him once again. It's easy to step away from him, but you know what? It's easy to come back to him. It's like a kid raising hands to the daddy. Dad, just pick me up. I fell down. I made a mess. Pick me up because I want to be a disciple. So that's what I encourage you today. Think about your life. Think about those around you. And today, not tomorrow, not next week, don't wait for Sunday. Today, whose life can you impact that you know for Jesus to change their life? If you can do that, you can say, God, I really am a disciple. I'm following your word. I'm following your ways. I know somebody right now I can call when I leave here that I need to bless. And if I do that, God, I know you bless me. I'm going to end with this. We were talking the other day, and I was telling a group of interns, when I die, I want to die on empty. My reserve tank empty. Because God only fills vessels that have the capacity to be filled. Some Christians are walking around full and they want more of God. And God said, no, you're just fat and happy sitting there. You're not doing anything. You're full. But God blesses those that want to be empty. So every day, I want to empty out everything I have so God can fill me again. So that means every day, God is filling me. I want to be a blessing to bless others. So that means God's got to bless me first. So I'm going to pour out every day. Pour out, pour out, pour out. Last night my phone was ringing. My wife's like, who is it again? And so I'm in the corner of the bed praying for somebody last night, one of the guys I mentor. I was tired. I didn't want to pray for him. I really didn't. I'm looking at the phone, I'm like, what? That's what I felt like, what? Because next to his name I have question marks. He's always got the dramas of life. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it's tonight. I don't feel like praying for you. I don't want to pray for you tonight. And it's ringing. And I'm like, okay, let it go to voicemail. I know after that he'll text me. And I can text back. What if Jesus did that to me? No, not tonight. Busy, got stuff to do. I said, if I'm going to be Christ-like, it's not on my terms. It's not my will, but thy will be done. That when the call comes, God created me for that. And I picked up the phone last night and spent about 10 minutes pouring into his life and praying for him. And he's a better man today because of it. Because he's going through life, the pressures of life, and it's pinching and crushing him. And one thing I told him last night, where's your cross? Because I don't feel like carrying it anymore. You better pick it up. Pick it up and carry it. It's yours. And follow Christ. And you don't have to know where you're going or what the destination is going to be. But if you're following him, he will never lead you wrong. He'll never lead you to a place he can't bless you. He'll never put you in a position he can't pull you out of. So carrying that cross is changing lives. So as men, never be ashamed of carrying your cross, loving Christ, or being a disciple. Thank you very much. You be blessed.